This video is brought to you by Osmocote, the planter's plant food.
Hi, I'm Dan Glusenkamp. I have a company called Designscape Horticultural Services here in southern Indiana, right between Nashville and Bloomington. Today we're going to talk about plants that are resistant to being eaten by animals. In particular deer, but also rabbits, and there's some other problems. Voles and mice sometimes eat the roots of plants. So we're going to talk about some plants that are resistant. That is by far the best way to keep plants protected in your garden. There are repellents, and we've talked about those, and fencing, but the best way is to have plants that you choose that the animals aren't going to bother. And so most of them, or a lot of them I should say, that have the scent, herbal scent, are good for that. We've got Russian sage down here. Russian sage has a purple flower, has that scent if you break the leaves. Also loves sun, so it's one that would be in a drier spot, full sun. Now one of the annuals that is really nice, it's small, and this is just planted up. This will get to be almost a little shrub. This is Angelonia. Angelonia comes in purple, pink, and white, but loves sun, and the deer for some reason don't seem to bother that, or rabbits. We've had it in some of the most heavily infested areas we've got. All the grasses, just about all the ornamental grasses, are resistant to deer. They do have kind of a coarse texture to them. This is a nice one we like to use called Carrick's Ice Dance. It's just a real short one. And then my favorite of all is back here, as far as ornamental grasses, Morning Light, Miscanthus Morning Light. But both real good choices around deer. Another perennial that we like is Coreopsis. Coreopsis Moonbeam has a more pale flower, but you'll see the Coreopsis Zagreb, also called tick flower, tickweed, is a brighter yellow. Both the Coreopsis really love full sun and love it on the drier side. Another perennial that works well and blooms in the spring is Helleborus, or Lenten rose. It has both pink and pale purple flowers, white flowers, sometimes on the same plant. A real tough perennial, comes up early spring. It's one of the first to bloom in your landscape, and that's when the deer are still hungry, so you know it's got to be pretty resistant. You've heard of lamb's ear probably, but this is a type of lamb's ear called humalo, and it has a purple flower. The lamb's ear most of us are used to are that gray, really looks like a lamb's ear. This is a new variety that we really like, also resistant to deer. All your ferns, there's a lot of different ferns, but just about all of them are resistant to deer and rabbits. And now we're going to talk about shrubs. We're moving over here. One of the ones that most people are familiar with is butterfly bush, or buddleia. There's quite a few different varieties, from pinks to purples. There's even a white, and there's a variegated. But this one is Pink Delight, just beginning. It's a little bit dwarfer. They get from, the shorter ones from maybe 3 foot to some will get 6 feet tall. This is the winterberry holly. This is a female. There's male and female winterberry hollies, but you need, the females are one with the berries, so we only need about one male for, maybe a dozen females. Just depends how close they are. But they have berries during the winter time, particularly in December, and they drop their leaves. The deciduous hollies are a little different than the evergreen hollies, and they drop their leaves, so those berries really stand out at that time of year. Now we're going over and we'll talk about some trees. In talking about trees, most trees are pretty deer resistant because they're taller, but when a deer is hungry, they'll eat the bark off of a tree. So they'll eat rose bushes with thorns. They'll eat really tough junipers and cedars. But I think it has to do with the odor, particularly of this Thuja plicata. This is a spring grove arborvitae. Another evergreen that works really well, and I talk about evergreens because that's what's green in the winter that deer are going to go for, that they don't hardly ever bother, is Norway and white spruce. Picea is the Latin name. But those two trees both grow big. We have them in our fields that are not fenced and to be protected from the deer. And they do very well and are strong growers, both partial shade but mostly full sun, do real well. Both like it medium moisture, so they won't grow in wet areas, but the spring growth can take it as wet as any evergreen can. That's it for today. I'm Dan Glusenkamp with Designscape signing off. That's all the scoop I got on deer and rabbit repellent plants. Thanks.